I've been through enough to know that unshakable faith isn't something you're born with. It's something you fight for. It's not soft or passive. It's not a hashtag or a Sunday morning performance. Unshakable faith is what keeps you grounded when everything around you is falling apart. It's the fire you cling to when the world tells you to give up. And I've had to hold on to that fire more times than I can count. There were seasons in my life where I had nothing left but God, no applause, no safety net. Just a whisper in my spirit that said, keep going. And that's what I did. Not because I was strong, but because I believed He was. Faith isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about knowing that even in the chaos, there's a plan bigger than your pain. And I've learned that God doesn't always calm the storm. Sometimes He calms you while in the storm. That's the kind of faith I carry. People think faith looks like confidence. No, it looks like surrender. It looks like tears on your pillow at 2 a.m. and still showing up the next day with your head held high. It looks like praying for something over and over again and choosing to believe even when the answer is not yet. That's not weakness. That's walk. And every woman who walks in that kind of faith becomes dangerous to darkness. I've had people tell me I'm naive, that I rely too much on hope, but what they don't understand is that my hope isn't based on what I see. It's based on who I trust. I've seen God move in ways that can't be explained. Doors that should have stayed shut burst open, relationships restored, healing where there was only pain. Are as capable. I don't need the world's approval when I've got God's covering. That's where my faith lies, not in what I can control, but in what I've surrendered. There's power in knowing that you're not walking alone. When you believe that heaven is backing you, you move differently. You speak boldly. You dream bigger. You don't apologize for being chosen. And I don't say that arrogantly. I say it with conviction. Because I've been through fires that should destroyed me, and I came out stronger, wiser, more focused. Not because I had it all together, because I refused to let go of the one who holds it all. Unshakable faith isn't about always feeling strong. It's about standing firm even when you feel weak. It's about showing up for the battle, knowing the victory's already been written. I don't always understand God's timing. I don't always get the answers I want, but I trust His heart. I trust that even the nos are protection, even the delays are preparation. That's why I don't panic, I pray. That's why I don't retreat, I rise. I've been in rooms where I didn't belong on paper. But favor isn't about paper, it's about purpose. And when God marks you, no system can block you, no critic can stop you. That's what faith does. It pulls you forward even when fear says, sit down. It reminds you who you are and whose you are. And once you've experienced that kind of faith, you stop chasing validation. You start walking in vision. I've watched women crumble under the weight of doubt. I've seen them shrink because someone questioned their worth. But I've also seen what happens when a woman decides to believe God over everything. When she stops waiting for perfect conditions and just moves in obedience. When she lets faith lead instead of fear. That woman, she's unstoppable. She's favored. She's chosen. And yes, she's tested. But that's the price of elevation. My faith isn't performative. It's personal. It's been shaped by quiet moments, lonely nights, whispered prayers, and small wins. It's the anchor that's kept me from drifting when storms hit hard. And I'll tell you this, once you've survived a storm you were never meant to survive, your faith becomes fierce. Unshakable faith isn't born in comfort, it's forged in fire. People ask me how I stay so calm, how I keep showing up. It's not because I'm fearless, it's because I know who fights for me. I don't need to have all the answers. I just need to trust the one who does. That's the beauty of walking with God. You don't have to see the whole picture to move. You just take the next step. And that's what I do. Every day, one step at a time in faith. There's something sacred about living with unshakable faith. It gives you peace that doesn't make sense. Strength you didn't know you had. And joy that no one can steal. It transforms you, not just on the outside, but deep in your soul. And once that shift happens, you don't look for external signs to confirm your worth. You walk in it. You embody it. So no, I don't have it all figured out. I still have questions. I still face doubt. But I don't let that stop me, because faith isn't about knowing the outcome. It's about trusting the process. It's about walking even when the road isn't clear. It's about saying yes, when everything you want to say, not yet. I live with unshakable faith because I've seen what happens when you put everything in God's hands. He doesn't just carry you, He lifts you, he positions you, he covers you. And when you live like that, the world can't define you, discourage you, or destroy you. That's the kind of faith I have, the kind that bends but doesn't break, the kind that stands when everything else falls, the kind that whispers, keep going, even when it hurts. And that right there is why I thrive, not because of what I have, but because of what I believe. I learned early on that telling the truth doesn't make you popular. It makes you powerful and dangerous. People don't always want the truth. They want comfort. They want validation. They want silence when their actions deserve confrontation. But I wasn't built to stay silent. I wasn't wired to play nice when something inside me screams that a line's been crossed. So I speak up, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. There were moments I could have stayed quiet, moments where speaking the truth cost me relationships, jobs, invitations, and applause. But I don't speak to be liked. I speak to be real. And being real in a world full of masks, that's resistance. It's spiritual warfare. It's a threat to systems that rely on silence and fake smiles. But the truth has always had a cost, and I've learned to pay it without flinching. You see, there's a difference between honesty and truth. Honesty is telling you what I feel. Truth is telling you what you need to hear, even if it shakes you. And sometimes telling the truth means standing in front of people you love and saying, this isn't right. It means calling out injustice when everyone else is playing dumb. It means refusing to downplay your standards just to keep peace. I've done all of that, not because I enjoy conflict, but because peace that's built on lies isn't peace. It's control. I've been labeled too much, too loud, too opinionated, too confrontational. But I wear that like armor, because the same voices that try to silence you will later say, I wish I'd said something too. And I decided a long time ago, I won't be one of the ones who stayed silent out of fear. If my voice shakes, let it shake, but let it be heard, because silence in the face of lies is still a choice, and it's one I refuse to make. There's this myth that women who speak truth are angry, are capable, that we're bittercold. But let me tell you what I am. I'm awake. I'm aware. And I've had enough of pretending everything's okay when it's not. Speaking truth doesn't make you bitter. It makes you brave. And I'd rather be brave and alone than surrounded by people who only love me when I'm quiet. I've spoken truth in boardrooms, in church pews, in living rooms. I've looked people in the eye and told them they didn't want to hear, but needed to. And yes, sometimes it was messy. Sometimes I cried after. Sometimes I lost people I cared about, but I never lost myself. And that's the real win, because when you betray yourself to keep the peace, the damage isn't loud, but it's deep. Truth has a way of clearing out the clutter. It exposes who's really with you and who is just comfortable around your silence. And once you start living that way, on purpose, with integrity, you can't unsee it. You can't unlive it. You stop needing everyone to understand you. You just focus on being aligned with what's right, what's real, what's righteous. That becomes your compass. And it never fails. I remember confronting someone I loved, someone who was lying to themselves and everyone around them. It broke my heart. But I knew that protecting them from the truth wasn't love. It was fear. So I said what I had to say, and they walked away. But I slept peacefully that night, because truth told in love is never a mistake, even if it's rejected, even if it stings, even if it leaves you standing alone. The truth has weight. It's not always soft or poetic. Sometimes it's raw, sometimes it's heavy, but it heals. It sets people free. And if my voice can be the start of someone else's freedom, even if they don't recognize it right away, I'll keep speaking. Because this world doesn't need more people playing it safe. It needs people willing to risk being misunderstood for the sake of what's right. And let me be clear. Speaking truth isn't about being harsh. It's not about ego. It's not about proving you're right. It's about love. Love that refuses to let someone sit in a lie. Love that demands accountability. Love that doesn't coddle comfort at the expense of growth. That kind of love. It's rare and it's costly, but it's worth it every single time. So yes, I speak the truth, even when it costs me, even when it makes the room go silent, even when people avoid eye contact, because I've seen what happens when we don't. I've seen families fall apart because no one said the hard thing. I've seen injustice go unchecked because everyone was too scared to speak. I've seen women shrink themselves to keep fragile egos intact. Not me. Not anymore. I don't need everyone to agree with me. I don't need applause. I don't even need you to like me. I just need to know that I honored what I believe, that I spoke what needed to be said, that I didn't bow to fear when truth was standing tall inside me. That's what keeps me grounded. That's what earns real respect, not the kind you're given because you played nice, but the kind you command because you stood firm. Truth is my language now. It's my compass. It's my legacy. And whether people whisper about me or walk away from me, I know this: I showed up honest, I showed up bold, I showed up whole. And that's a life I can live with, no matter how uncomfortable it makes the room. Because in the end, I'd rather be alone with the truth than surrounded by people who only loved my silence. I don't pray cute prayers. I don't sit down, fold my hands, and whisper timidly into the void, hoping maybe someone up there is listening. I go to war when I pray. I don't pray like I'm begging. I pray like I know who I am and who I belong to. Because when everything in life feels like it's coming apart, when the people around me are breaking, when my heart is heavy and the lies feel louder than the truth, I hit my knees and fight. I've learned that prayer isn't just a ritual, it's a battleground. It's where chains break, for they break in real life. It's where I face down fear, anxiety, betrayal, confusion, and silence. And I don't back down, because I've lived too long letting life happen to me. Now I meet life with my hands lifted and my voice raised, not because I'm strong, because I know the one who is. There were nights I prayed with tears soaking my pillow, not because I didn't believe, but because I believed too much to give up. I've walked through storms that would drawn the old me. But this version of me, she prays like she's holding a sword, because she is. Prayer is the only reason I'm still standing. It's the only reason I didn't lose my mind, my identity, my purpose. I don't pray to perform. I don't pray to be religious. I pray because hell is real and it doesn't wait for you to get your act together. So I fight now. I fight for my family. I fight for my future. I fight for clarity when confusion creeps in. I fight for peace when Charles wants to take over. And every time I pray, something shifts. Even if it's not outside, something shifts inside. And that's where the real battle is anyway. People used to say I was too intense. Why do you cry when you pray? Why are you shouting? Because I've seen what silence produces. Passivity. And passivity doesn't move mountains. Desperation does. Hunger does. Faith does. And when I pray, I come hungry. I come desperate. I come bold. Because I'm not just talking to God. I'm declaring war against everything trying to steal my joy, my vision, my fire. I remember one morning, 3 a.m., woke up out of a deep sleep with this weight on my chest. Anxiety. It was so thick I could barely breathe. I sat up, tried to shake it off. But nothing worked. So I got out of bed, walked across the room, and dropped to my knees. I didn't even have the words. I just groaned, cried. And then something rose up in me. Not fear, not panic, power. I started speaking life, speaking truth, reminding the darkness who I belonged to. And I'm telling you, peace flooded that room like a dam broke. That's war. That's victory. Too many people treat prayer like it's a checkbox, but I treat it like it's breath, like it's armor. Because it is. Every time I pray, I'm putting on strength. I'm covering ground. I'm calling things into alignment. I'm silencing lies and unlocking doors. And the best part, I don't need anyone's permission. I don't need a platform. I just need faith and a little space. And listen, I don't always feel like praying. There are days I feel numb, days I feel tired, days I wonder if it's even working. But I've prayed through those too, because faith isn't about feeling. It's about choosing to show up. Choosing to speak even when you feel unheard. Choosing to believe even when you see no proof. That kind of prayer. It's dangerous. Hell gets nervous when a woman who's been knocked down decides to stand back up and pray anyway. I don't pray just for me. I pray for people who don't even know I'm covering them. I've prayed for strangers, for enemies, for people who wronged me. Because prayer frees you. It detoxes your spirit. It realigns your focus. And it reminds you that justice doesn't start in a courtroom. It starts in the secret place. You want to change the world. Start by praying like you mean it, like the outcome depends on it. Because sometimes it does. There are things I've seen shift in my life that logic can't explain. Doors opened, addictions broken, opportunities released. Not because I hustled harder, but because I hit my knees harder. That's not weakness. That's strategy. That's power. The world tells you to fight louder, argue harder, prove more. But I've found more victory in silence before God than I have in shouting matches with people who don't even understand my calling. I've stopped caring who thinks I'm too spiritual, too deep, too intense. I've seen too much. I've survived too much. I've prayed through too much. So if someone doesn't understand the fire in my voice when I pray, that's fine. They weren't in the fire I walked through. They didn't see what I saw. But God did. And every time I come to him, I bring all of it, raw, messy, unfiltered. And he meets me there every single time, not always with immediate answers, but with presence. And that's enough. His presence gives me clarity when I have questions. It gives me courage when I have fear. It gives me peace when everything's chaos. That's why I keep praying. Not because life gets easier, but because I get stronger. I used to think peace was something I'd find when life finally calmed down. When people stopped disappointing me, when the deadlines slowed down, when the world got a little quieter. But I've learned the truth the hard way. Peace isn't found. It's protected, fought for, defended like it's worth more than anything I own. Because it is. I protect my peace like it's sacred. Because it is. It took too many sleepless nights and broken boundaries to understand that not everyone deserves access to me. Not every argument needs my reply. And not every invitation deserves a yes. The moment I started saying no, without guilt, leave, without explanation, and I'm done, without fear, I got my peace back easy. Wasn't. At first, I felt selfish. I was so used to being the fixer, the listener, the one who kept the group together, who held space for everyone else. But I realized while I was busy carrying everyone else's weight, no one was carrying mine. I was drowning in chaos I didn't create, living in emotional debt to people who never once paid me back in presence or peace. So I stopped. Cold, I shut the door on toxic conversations, chose filled circles and energy vampires. I stopped answering texts that made my chest tighten. I muted the noise. Not just online, but in real life. If it cost me my clarity, my calm, or my connection to God, it was too expensive. People noticed. Some got offended. You've changed, they said. And they were right. I changed because chaos was aging me faster than time ever could. I changed because drama was making me doubt myself. I changed because I realized I wasn't created to be everyone's emotional punching bag. And you know what? The peace that followed that decision, life-altering. Now, I wake up and check in with me before I check on anyone else. I pray. I breathe. I move slow. I listen to my thoughts. I pay attention to what raises my heart rate, what drains my energy, and what stirs my spirit. Peace isn't passive. It's intentional. It's a choice I make daily. I've also learned to protect my peace from my own mind, because sometimes the war isn't outside. It's internal. It's that voice that says, "You're not enough," or "You should have done more." I silence that voice now. I remind myself I'm doing my best. I'm growing. I don't owe perfection to anyone, not even myself. That kind of grace. That's peace too. There was a time I let other people's emergencies become my problem. Not anymore. I'm not in the business of fixing broken things that don't want to heal. I'm not God. I'm not their therapist. I'm not their savior. I'm allowed to care without carrying. I'm allowed to love without losing myself in the process. And don't get it twisted. I'm still kind. I'm still generous. I still show up. But I do it from a place of overflow now, not depletion. I protect the wellspring inside of me because I know what it feels like to run dry. I'm not running on fumes anymore. I've created rituals around peace. I don't just hope for it. I structure my life around it. I limit who has access to me. I take walks without my phone. I spend time in silence. I pray. I journal. I cry when I need to. I laugh often. I rest unapologetically because peace isn't weak. It's wisdom. And here's the thing most people don't realizing: peace will offend the people who benefited from your chaos. The ones who thrived off your availability, your compliance, your guilt. They won't like the new you. The one who doesn't jump at every call. The one who doesn't show up to every battle. The one who doesn't explain why she's choosing herself. But that's not your problem. You weren't created to be constantly accessible. You were created to be intentional, purposeful, present in your own life, not just everyone else's. And peace is what allows you to show up fully, boldly, and beautifully. Not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer trying to control everything. I've made peace with letting people misunderstand me. I've made peace with being the bad guy in someone else's story. I've made peace with not getting closure, with walking away without clapping back. Because real peace doesn't need validation. It doesn't beg to be understood. It just is. So yes, I protect my peace relentlessly because it took me years to realize how powerful it actually is. Peace helps me hear God clearly. Peace keeps me grounded when the world spins fast. Peace protects my creativity, my joy, my health. and anything that threatens it. I no longer entertain it. Let them call it selfish. Let them talk. Let them wonder where I went. I didn't disappear. I just relocated to a place where peace lives and drama dies. And from here, life feels lighter, focused. Free, this is the life I prayed for. One where my soul feels safe inside my own skin. One where my spirit doesn't shrink to fit in. One where I protect my peace, not like it's an option, but like it's oxygen. Because for me, it is.